Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at graphs and being able to look for a quick test whether or not a graph is a function. This is referred to as the vertical line test. So consider here we have a graph, happens just to be the graph of a straight line. And the idea is that we start to consider vertical lines. So I drew in a bunch of them here. Now each vertical line, if you remember from graphing, corresponds to an individual x value. So each time the vertical line crosses the graph, that means that x value corresponds with that y value wherever it crosses. So as long as your vertical lines only cross the graph once, in the case of a straight line, no matter how many you draw in, it will only cross once. So each x value has no more than one y value. In this case, each x value has exactly one y value. We would say that this thing is a function. If on the other hand you had a graph like this, and we start to look at vertical lines, well here this would be the same as saying that that x value, y x equals 4, actually goes to two different y values. So if the vertical line crosses the graph more than once, then you have an x value that's going to more than one y value. And in this case it would be x4 goes to 1.5 and negative 1.5. And so therefore this thing is not a function. And so what you look at is, can I draw the graph? If I look at any vertical line at all, if it crosses the graph more than once, it's not. If the vertical lines only cross the graph once, then it is. And so let's consider a couple of examples. Here we have this U-shaped graph. And again, we start to look at vertical lines. I drew just a few of them in there, but you can kind of visualize them. If you look at all the little axes, if you zoom in enough, and look at all the little axes coming down, the little marks on the lines, they're all vertical lines. Each one only crosses the graph once, and so therefore this thing is also a function. Consider this one. Now this one curves around a whole lot more than the last one. But again, any vertical line you draw in will only cross the graph one time, meaning that each x value has at most one y value, and so therefore this thing is a function as well. Consider our last example, this kind of sideways shaped M type thing, and again if you look at a vertical line, here's one that actually crosses the graph 4 times. Now it is possible to draw some vertical lines, in this particular case, that only cross the graph once. But because you can draw one that crosses more than once, this thing is not a function. So this vertical line test is fairly straightforward once you get the idea. If you can draw a vertical line that crosses the graph more than once, and it only has to happen one time to disqualify it as being a function. But if you can get by with drawing any vertical line you want and it only crosses the graph once, then the thing is a function. Okay, so this is the vertical line test. It gives us a quick way, and the reason it works is because each vertical line corresponds to an x value. So if the x values only cross, each x value only crosses at once, that's the definition of a function. But if a vertical line crosses more than once, that means that that x value went to more than one y value, and therefore it's not a function.